This is Alex from Lisa Eyes.
This is Rachel with Grave Shadow.
This is Tony from Sonata Arctica.
This is Jeff Thorpe from Vicious Rumors.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jason Ashcraft from Helium Prime, and you are listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
The Metal Debate Podcast returns with another amazing metal artist interview. Today I'm joined by Sarah, Brad, and Lucas from U.S. Symphonic Power Metal Innovators AfterTime. Thank you all so much for coming on the Great Metal Debate. And so we're here tonight at the Cobra in Nashville, AfterTime toward the end of the tour, the U.S. Midwest along with Helium Prime. How pleased are you all so far with the response and getting to visit a lot of markets that you've never been to before?
It's been really, really good. A lot of the turnouts have been even better than we expected. Like you said, it's the first time we've been through a lot of these places, so it's very nice to see.
And are you seeing a lot of folks who are familiar with your music, or is it more a mix of folks who I've not heard of you before, but I'm really digging what you're doing?
I think it's been kind of a mix. Depending on the location, some of the shows have primarily been for Helium Prime, and then they see us and they're blown away and we get new fans. But especially tonight, I know we've got a few existing fans that have wanted to see us for a long time and they finally get to. So that's a great feeling.
Well, it is quite the bill with Power Metalers Helium Prime, featuring Barbara Blackmore, who I know has an awesome relationship with you guys. How excited were you when you found out, or at what point did you find out that you were going to be joining on the road with her in a different way than you'd been with her before?
We found out earlier this year.
Yeah, I think maybe February or so.
Yeah. We were really excited to see her, be with her again on the road.
Tonight you're joined by local openers Valkyrie's Fire and Sacred Symphony. And I know you've had a lot of local openers as you've gone throughout the U.S. How impressed have you been with some of those bands? And what's your take on the health of the local music scene in these cities that you're going between? I mean, what are you encouraged? Are there some things that discourage you? What are your feelings?
I've been really impressed with really every opener we've had on the tour. Especially since back home we kind of stand out like a sore thumb in our own local market. Most of the other bands in the Twin Cities are not quite as melodic as we are, so it was really refreshing to be on bills with similar style bands and definitely very talented musicians.
And as far as the venues, any crazy stories about locales that maybe weren't what you were expecting so far?
Most have been pretty standard. We did play in a old apartment building in one, which was a little weird. For the most part, no, they've been pretty standard venues. A lot of them have been very nice, actually.
And you said you've been pleased with the turnout. I have to think as a performer, you want to play to as many people as possible, but I've gotten to see some bands, I'm thinking of Unleash the Archers and Seven Spires in particular, that I got to see in small venues without a lot of folks, but they still impressed me. How important is that to you all, no matter whether it's 1,500 or 15 people, to give that professional performance?
So a good example for this was our second show in Akron was one of the lower turnout shows, but one of the folks that was there came up to our merch booth before the performance and indicated that he had just recently heard about us, heard about the tour, bought all of our music within 45 minutes of hearing everything. And so I knew, like, it didn't matter how big the crowd was. We were playing the show for that person that night. If there's just one fan in the audience, that is already enough to make it worthwhile.
That's a great story. Now, AfterTime released its sophomore full-length album, Arcane Horizons, back in May. I reviewed it generally positively. Have you all been pleased with the overall response?
Yeah, I think it's been very well received. I think some of the songs are getting more praise than we anticipated. We like these ones, but some of the other ones that are getting some really nice reviews too. So yeah, it's quite fun.
It's fair to say that sometimes some of the takes surprise you maybe from your own thoughts about the album.
Yeah, especially playing them live on this tour, we've gotten to see them open up in like a new way and like see in real time how people react to them. It's been mostly positive, so that's always nice.
Now, I was introduced to you guys several years ago at Mad with Power Fest. I'll admit, when I first saw you guys, your garb, I was just a little curious about how you guys were made out. But when you got on stage, you really impressed me. You've got an updated look to go with your new album this time around. Give me a little idea about the visual aesthetic that you're going for that fits with the musical aesthetic of this new album.
Yeah, so the first album, when you saw us at Mad with Power, we had kind of an adventurous theme to our outfit because of the Farthest Shore being more of a concept album about sailing the seas and discovering the world. So with Arcane Horizons, it's based more around mythology and folklore, and so we have always tried to stray away from the basic black stage clothes. So it was actually my idea to come up with more of like a navy burgundy kind of color scheme, and then throwing in accents of gold or tan or brown. And ultimately, all of our costumes are loosely based on a character from somewhere in the album.
Okay.
So that was a nice little detail, little Easter egg to throw in with it.
You guys look cool in them, so I'm excited to see them tonight. I want to talk about the album, some particular tracks. I really love Goddess of Dark Horizons. You guys produced a lyric video for that one. I don't know, to me, that one really captures the spirit of AfterTime, kind of the epic feel. It's luxurious, but also hard-hitting. What was the writing process behind that one and thought? What were you going for?
I wrote that one for the most part myself, I think. Basically, what I wanted to capture was that one is you get these long, sprawling, like 10-minute epics with symphonic metal a lot of the times. I wanted to capture that feeling, but condense it down to about 5 minutes or however long Goddess is. I think I did it pretty good. We played with like some structure, like the song doesn't go back for a second chorus till like way later in the song. There's a couple different bridge sections, the solo. It was a pretty quick writing process, actually. A lot of it came out really smooth.
You kind of had a vision for it that came together instead of fitting parts together for it?
For the most part, I knew I wanted to play around with like the Norwegian lyrics that open and end to the song. That was something I knew I wanted to do going into it, and then just I was trying to keep a consistent like wave like melody where it just kind of goes up and down rather than just like big and small, just something that goes back and forth a lot.
Another of my faves is Armored Heart. It's a real iron fist and a velvet glove. When you're writing that style of symphonic metal, how do you navigate the balance between hitting hard and having some aggression, but also playing with those subtleties? That seems to me like a real challenge from a songwriting perspective.
Yeah, that one was another one that I wrote. Also, it came really, really easily. It follows a pretty standard song structure, but there's some stuff in it, like the bridge drops down. It almost gives like a false key change to it, where we change the chord progressions up. And then when I gave it to Sarah, I was like, I want you to hit your voice like as big as possible on whatever word that was in the bridge. Landscapes, yeah. And so we played around when we were demoing it a lot, and we finally captured like that balance, like you said, of the hard hitting versus the softer elements, because that one is a more mid-tempo song on the album. It's not super in your face like some of the other ones, but still wanted to have a good punch to it.
And in that writing process, are you developing things on your own, Sarah, and bringing them to the table? Or are you waiting until you get some music to then develop the ideas?
Yeah, we're really very collaborative with the songwriting. The way we approached this album was that we wanted to kind of individually develop our own ideas as far as we could before presenting to the other band members. There are a couple songs that Brad and I have written together. I generally help a lot with like the lyrics and some of the orchestral or choir or vocal writing, but there are also certain songs where, like Brad mentioned, he'll have a vision for it and he'll just write the whole thing, usually within a pretty short amount of time.
I'd like to go through every song with you guys, but I'll hit one more. You've been performing By the Tavern's Light as your set closer. Spoiler alert for folks who might be hearing this. I think that one's a ton of fun, and that's one of the ones I'm most excited to hear you guys play live tonight. Why that track as a set ender and kind of the last memory that fans will have as you're finishing the set?
So the song that precludes it on the album is one of those big, lengthy, epic, apocalyptic sounding songs, and we didn't want to end the album on that kind of a tone. So we agreed that we wanted to lighten the mood a little bit before things finished up on the album, and we decided we wanted to write kind of a party, dancing, drinking song. And that song, more than any other on the album, has bits and pieces that every band member contributed to. It's the most collaborative song on the album.
And again, from my perspective, it's just a lot of fun to hear that one. So you guys are getting toward the end of this tour. You've been going for a couple of weeks. What are your most and least favorite things about being out on the road?
The heat is my least favorite thing. We've played a couple of venues where even with air conditioning it reached close to 100 degrees, and then so in our stage garb it's not very breathable, so we're definitely slamming water between shows. But I think just the adventures that we have with the other band that we're touring with, Helium Prime, some of the shenanigans we get up to, it's just good times. I think that's the best part.
It seems like on social media that you guys have a good rapport, and it seems like you all are having fun out on the road.
Yeah.
Beginning to wrap up with you guys, what can fans expect from the band in the coming months? And the big question that I have, when can folks expect to perhaps see you guys cross the pond to get over to Europe and play? Because I know you all would kill it over there.
We would definitely like to get over there. We don't have any plans at the moment, mostly just financial. It's not cheap to get over there, but it's something we definitely want to do.
Yeah, especially the UK. I know we have several long-term fans that have been asking us for a while, and I know that would be one of the first markets we'd want to hit when we do manage to cross the pond.
I'm guaranteeing you, I'd buy stock in that tour because I know you guys will kill it. And I know you guys have a big show coming up in Denver in August. Tell us a little bit about that festival.
We were really excited to get that, for them to reach out for us. Denver was one of at least my favorite cities to play when we were there in 2019. We haven't got a chance to go back yet, so I'm really looking forward to that one. It'll be a massive show for us. We have a special set list prepared. It'll be fun.
And that is Mile High Power Fest on August 24th.
Well, you have me really intrigued with the special set list. I'm going to be there, and I will be very intrigued to see what you guys have in store for us then. And so, final question, what's the best way for fans to purchase music and merchandise from AfterTime, including the most recent album, Arcane Horizons?
Well, depending on when you're hearing this, you could come to our show in either Chicago or Minneapolis. Those are the last two dates on the tour. Otherwise, we do have a website, aftertimeofficial.com, which has a web store where you can pick up any of our albums. There's also some bundle deals. And then as far as streaming, you can find our music on any of the major streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Bandcamp, all of that good stuff.
Guys, thank you so much. I'm so stoked to see you all perform tonight and again later next month in Denver. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.